Peace and love to every set of eyes watching, ears listening, and people and beings connected to this work of raising free people and moving away from our schoolish selves over into something more sovereign, more liberation minded, um, and more connected to the people and not just the processes. So this video I'm doing way after the course first launched. It's October 26th of 2022. And I wanted to drop in with a short message and also make sure you know about some updates to some resources that are available. And I'll start really quickly with the resources because they're connected to what I'm going to say after that. So you hopefully already know that I have this book out, Raising Free People, Unschooling as Liberation and Healing Work. And much of what's in the School to Self course comes from the energies of this book. More recently, we were able to launch Criando Personas Libres, the Spanish language version of this book. Same book, exact same book. Worked with a team of folks, just shout out to the entire translation team who were really deeply in conversation with me to convey the messages that are in Raising Free People using Spanish language without taking away from how I talk, how I think. When I put Jamaican patois in there, when I put, Black American vernacular in there, just to really keep the energy of it. And that's super important to me. So special. We also have Raising Free People. This one is made of metal. It's my personal copy, but the card deck that pulls from a lot of the premises in and beyond this book. So it's a wonderful helper. And now we also have the Spanish language version of the deck, which is really just going to expand the ways that we work with the energies of what it means to be and raise free people. Super important that you understand that these tools like the deck are meant to support us in a variety of ways. It's not just like stuff from the book. It invites you to whatever is present for you and your family and your communities. Even the ways that the decks are utilized, and I'll be sure to include a video of one of the ways that I use the deck, but other people use it in different ways, and all of that is important and right and good. Also, as someone who is learning Spanish right now, this book, the Spanish language version of the book, Criando Personas Libres, let me make sure I said that right. Yes, Criando Personas Libres. And the deck will also help with that. So if Spanish is not your native tongue and you're wanting to learn it, I invite you to pick up the Spanish language version of the book and or the deck as a part of your practice in that to bring it into the things that you practice in every day, like your Raising Free People practice. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to share with you here is that Ruben, who is one of the facilitators at Educambiando, which is the Agile Learning Center that the translation team folks are connected to. And I was able to visit that space. It's in Jalapa, Mexico. Just got back from there. We were there last week, Chris and me. It was so amazing. I got to go to a river. I need to remember. I'll check in with Javier about the name of that river. But one of the offerings at that ALC was a river walk. And so we walked to that river. We sang by the river. We ate by the river. We got into the river. And it was really beautiful. And just it reminds me of a vision I have for visiting every single Agile Learning Center that exists in this world, to be able to gather some of the stories from those spaces and just offer those maybe online somewhere, just like free essays and videos so that people can know what's going on in other parts of the world as people are on their own journeys to raising and being free people. So one of the things that Ruben, one of the facilitators there, he shared a video recently on Instagram, and that is linked here too, about facilitation and support, what it means to support learning as an adult and support children in learning. And one of the things Ruben said is that essentially you have to model a lot of what happens and how learning works in a self-directed mindset and ecology. Is not that you're passing information down, but you're modeling it, right? So if you want to be in right relationship with a young person and you want to help them move away from maybe some of the other practices that they've seen and been given, then you have to model it, right? And one of the misconceptions about modeling behavior is that you have to fully be it. You have to, for example, with a book with a title like Raising Free People, people sometimes say, well, I can't do that because I myself am not free. I know that I'm not free. So how am I going to raise a free person? Or if you're thinking about, that term, the conscious parenting movement, if you're thinking about raising your child in a particular way, but you don't come from that way, you weren't raised like that, you don't even know people in your real life that are doing that, how can you do it? How is it possible? Right? That's a question that I know many of us have, and I get that question. And that's what I wanted to speak to here. I want to remind you that when Ruben says, or when I say, or when other people who do this work a little bit more out loud than you might, when we say you got to model it and be it, what I mean by that is that you got to be in practice with it. It doesn't mean that you don't sometimes yell at your child. It doesn't mean that you don't sometimes make a decision that is reactive. It's just your reaction to a feeling and not necessarily your thought out preferred response. It doesn't mean you're going to get it right all the time. It doesn't mean you're going to do the best thing in every situation. It doesn't mean you don't have a lot of the feelings of anger and frustration and wanting them to do something just because you said it, or that you don't sometimes use the power over dynamic instead of power with, or that you're going to know exactly what to do or how to answer each time, whether it's with a child or another adult. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that you are committed to being in practice. It means that each time you do the thing you really wish you would just stop freaking doing, that instead of just like beating yourself up about it, you give yourself time and space to analyze what happened, to be critical and graceful with yourself about what you are experiencing, about what you did, about what you want to do differently. It's about being in practice with your awareness of the difference between where you're coming from and how you've been, and what you're moving towards, what you are learning and unlearning, perhaps through this book and through this course and through your own deschooling work. These are other resources we have, sweatshirts and shirts, ways that you can really like put on that armor that morning and be like, I know I'm about to get into this conversation. Let me put on my now deschooling hoodie so I can remind myself, I can feel the fabric and remember that this is on my chest where my heart is beating. It is a part of me. I am in practice, right? That's what that means. So when you ask yourself the question of, how can I raise free people if I wasn't raised free and I don't even know what freedom fully means? You can, because you can be in practice. You can ask yourself the question of, what does freedom mean to me now? And really be giving yourself time, 10 minutes, a few times a week, if you can. It doesn't even have to be every day. Giving yourself time to ask certain questions about yourself and your freedom and your journey and your feelings and how you were raised and how that impacted you, how your parents are now, if they are still alive and around, and how, you can be triggered in that way, and how, if you are also triggering to your children, how you want to handle it differently than how your parents handled it. That's just one set of examples. It might not be related to your parents at all. Maybe you actually love and appreciate how your parents raised you, and you want to do a version of that. You want to do a version of that with your children in this time, with your specific children and their needs. Whatever that is, just know that you do have what it takes to raise free people, not because you are first free or you first figured out how to get free, but because you are willing to be in practice with liberation. You are willing to be in community spaces where you speak up if you feel like someone is doing a thing that is power over. You are willing to listen and hear when somebody tells you that you are the person doing the thing that is out of alignment with what feels like communal care and communal relationship. It means that you are willing to explore the edges of what you have been taught or led to believe so that you can feel into something different. It means that when you do inevitably mess up in any relationship with a child or another adult, or with your plants or your animals, your ancestors, whatever it is, wherever you make a misstep, that you are in practice of being with that, of paying attention to it, of being willing to go into the shadows of the spaces that don't feel good, not so that you can come out perfect and have it all right, but just so that you can be in constant practice. There is no final realized enlightenment of a destination in this work of being and raising free people. It's a practice, raising free people practice. So when we talk about modeling certain behaviors, the modeling is oftentimes you're being willing to hold yourself accountable or to be held accountable, whether it's by children or adults, when you do something that's out of alignment with how that community, whether it's just the community in your home or beyond that, what that community needs. If you end up being a tyrant and being like, everybody, blah, 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 yelling at everybody in the house, slamming the doors, doing the things that you're not like, oh, that's it. I'm no longer equipped to raise free people. No, it's what you do after you did what you did. What are you doing now? Are you going back to apologize? Have you done the assessment for yourself? Are you holding the grounds of the things where you're like, I don't apologize for this, and here is why, but I want to be in communication about it? Are you talking with a counselor if that's helpful for you? Are you spending time in nature at whatever level you can? Are you doing the type of self-inquiry, journaling, through written journaling, through somatic journaling, feeling through your body? I have a poll right over here that I use as part of my process of moving things out of my thinky space and into my body. What does that mean to feel a feeling of guilt, frustration, stuckness, not knowing where to turn, and have practices for moving that energy through my body and through my brain and beyond my brain? This is what we mean by modeling, and being able to communicate that to a child, to say, I saw how you were reacting in that way. And I remember yesterday or today or whichever day that I was also super reactive. And I know how that can feel. I'd love to talk about that, or let's go for a walk and not talk about it, but keep it in mind. What are some of the things that you can do to practice using the deck? That's why it exists, as a means of you to take some of these words. It has 15 focus words about boundaries, about pleasure, about autonomy, about masonry, which might not sound directly related to the practice, but it is. About rhythm, about flavor, about all of these different things. Can I take a card from the deck and really pay attention to that card and invite certain questions of myself, ask the questions of the person that I'm in conflict with in this moment? What can I be doing to say, feel, and show that I'm in practice with this commitment to raising free people? If I'm doing that, then I am modeling what that looks like, imperfectly, but consistently modeling what it looks like to be in practice of liberation work. If you can do that, hold on to that as enough. Hold on to that as enough, because perfection is a trap. That could have been one of the traps that I put in here. All right. So I hope that that serves you on this path. I hope that you are willing to talk to other people in your circle about what your practice looks like, not just the moments where you get it right, but the moments where you get it deeply, deeply wrong. And then how you feel about that and how you move with that, not necessarily how you fixed it. I didn't say that, but how you move with those moments that are not perfect, that do not feel divine and aligned. That's practice, that's modeling, that's relevant, that's valid. You get to do all of those things. And I hope this serves you in remembering and rooting yourself in that knowledge. All right. Peace and love. And let me know if there are any other specific things that you'd love for me to share to update this course, because I do want it to remain relevant in your life. Okay. Peace.